Welcome back to Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today we're going to be predicting the BAFTA award nominations. So yeah, other than, unless something happens where it's delayed again, which I don't expect that to because, the BAFTAs are on the other side of the Atlantic Oceans and not really dealing with the fires in California, I'm assuming they will still be presented on Wednesday. And so I figured I might get this video out because PGA, that's been delayed, so that way I can't really use that. I'm kind of going off of so little information right now. I think literally the only big things we kind of have are the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choice nominations, some guild support, including the SAG Award nominations. So I'm kind of going off of this without PGA. The Writers Guild Awards are technically being announced tomorrow, but voting for the BAFTAs has already ended, so I don't think that's going to affect anything. And even then, I'm very much expecting the Writers Guild Awards nominations to be postponed. And also, in case you haven't already, memberships are still open, and if you want to become a member, we got lots of cool perks, including videos, live streams, weekly live streams. We got emojis, badges, just a lot of really fun stuff to consider if you want to become a member. Throughout this whole award season, I've been tackling the regional critics groups and talking about those nominations and winners. And after the Oscars are over, we're going to probably have movie clubs, maybe bi-weekly or monthly. We'll have to figure all that out. But still, there's a lot of cool stuff for members. Consider becoming a member. It really means a lot. Now, let's get on to the BAFTA nomination predictions, shall we? Anyways, we got Best Film. This is a little bit easier to predict because we have short lists or long lists for all these categories. So that's good. I'm thinking The Brutalist is going to win Best Film at BAFTA. Although maybe it could be Emilia Perez, but I don't know. I feel like The Brutalist just kind of has a better package that BAFTA will like. So, and granted, Emilia Perez did get shortlisted for a lot of categories, but still. Then we have Conclave. I feel like Conclave is a very safe film to put in here. Some people are wondering if that could win. I would love it if it won. I actually rewatched Conclave last night. My God, that movie is so fantastic. It's one of the best films of the year. So, but I don't know if it's gonna win here. It does have some good things going for it. It's probably looking like it's gonna win. Adapted screenplay, and it's nominated for SAG Ensemble, and it's not a complete slow burn like The Brutalist. Conclave legitimately could do well on a preferential ballot, but that's not really how it works here at BAFTA. But we'll have to see. All Quiet on the Western Front did do extraordinarily well here at the BAFTAs, and this is Edward Berger's next film, so I am kind of looking out to see how well it does here. Anora, I feel like it's very safe here, although if the Golden Globes taught us anything, it's that international voting bodies don't really like Anora all that much. So that's kind of my assumption. And that last spot is tough, because there's kind of knocks against a few of these films. I could do The Substance. That might work. It did get nominated for a lot of BAFTAs, so that is good for it. But I'm really wondering if the BAFTAs will nominate a horror movie in their Best Film 5. That's kind of one thing I'm wondering. It's is that actually going to happen? I'm not exactly sure. Dune Part 2, the first Dune was nominated here, I should say. God, I can't speak today. But, however, it's doing significantly worse than the first film. No DGA nomination, no nominations at Makeup and Hairstylist Guild. It's just looking to be an overall weaker contender than the first Dune. So I'm not expecting that. Wicked, I know some people are going to try to predict Wicked. Don't, okay? That's the kind of American-centric, blockbuster thing that the BAFTAs don't like. People tried predicting Top Gun Maverick. That didn't work out, but that was before I was predicting the BAFTAs. But then, last year, I actually did predict The Holdovers would get in over Barbie. I thought I was going to get 5 out of 5, but I guess the BAFTAs went for Anatomy of a Fall over The Zone of Interest, which in hindsight is still very weird that happened. Especially since The Zone of Interest won foreign language film over Anatomy of a Fall and won Best British Film over Poor Things. Both of which were nominated in Best Picture at the BAFTAs, whereas Zone of Interest was not. But still, it's strange. I don't know. Kneecap and The Apprentice, it is impressive that they showed up here. But, however, I'm not expecting them to show up in Best Film, because whatever gets nominated for Best Film, I have to kind of assume is going to get nominated for the Oscar. Now, sure, the Mauritanian did that, but again, that was a very weird year. This year, it's looking a lot more normal. So I'm going with A Complete Unknown. A Complete Unknown is doing so well with the guilds right now. Like, unbelievably well with guilds. Like, it kind of, in a way, overperformed at SAG. So, I'm kind of expecting maybe it shows up here in the top 5. Like, even though, granted, this is the DGA 5, which doesn't make me confident. But again, I could go with the substance, but the fact that A Complete Unknown is doing so well right now, it kind of makes me think it's going to get nominated here. Although, if the substance got nominated for Best Film here, well then, like, oh my god. Like, oh, wow. But still, let's see. Alright? Then we got Best Director. Also, another thing that should be noted is that there's no more jury nominating these films. Like, some jury like, there is a jury for, like, some of the shortlist placements, but in terms of, like, what films or people get nominated, they don't have a jury anymore for that. So, ooh. I just realized Best Director right here, this is literally the Golden Globes. This is exactly what the Golden Globes did. Oh, I don't feel confident about this. But at the same time, there's not really a lot of other good options here. If A Complete Unknown was here, then alright, maybe. Denis Villeneuve and Dune Part 2, I mean, he didn't get nominated for the first film, and you could maybe argue that was because of the jury, but he didn't even get nominated at the Oscars. So that makes me wonder. So I guess I am going to have to go with Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, Edward Berger for Conclave, Sean Baker for Honora, Coralie Farguy in The Substance, and Paolo Capadia for All We Imagine Is Light. Now, granted, we're going to get a little bit down further into the list, and I have All We Imagine Is Light getting in for director and original screenplay. Ugh, man, that's a really good recipe if you want to get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, yeah, it's not shortlisted for Best Film here, but, like, neither was Drive My Car. So it's like, but that would also imply that Coralie Farguy is not getting nominated for the Oscar, but then again, we'll have to see. I do think Brady Corbet is going to win here. I mean, if Amelia Perez did that well at the Golden Globes, and yet Brady Corbet still won the Golden Globe for director, I feel like he's going to continue his sweep here. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. The others, like Ellen Kuras for lead, Nora Finkscheit, and Alice Warwalker, I don't think they're happening. I feel like we are going to get a couple of women directors here, and All We Imagine Is Light makes the most sense right now. That's kind of what I'm thinking, anyways. Then we get to lead actress, alright? I still think the Demi Moore sweep is going to continue, alright? Like, Demi Moore actually beat Mikey Madison at the Golden Globes when she wasn't expected to, and I was like, oh, it's time. Demi Moore's taking the BAFTA for lead actress. So happy about that. Ooh. But, yeah, we also have Mikey Madison for Honora. I think she's in. Kate Winslet for Lee. Her campaign is really strong right now because she's got, like, some of Hollywood's biggest names behind her campaigning, and this is a British film, and it's nominated, or at least shortlisted in a lot of categories, including director and adapted screenplay, so it really makes me think she might show up here. She may actually show up. So, there's that. Marion Jean-Baptiste. Now, granted, this category has become so competitive for the Oscar, so, like, I don't know if Marion Jean-Baptiste is actually gonna get nominated for the Oscar, but I do think she'll get nominated here. I do think that. Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. Sure, why not? I'm going with Saoirse Ronan for The Outrun, which, granted, some people might go, but no one cares about The Outrun. Sure, but I don't know. With Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, I just don't think Wicked is going to do as well at the BAFTAs as, like, it had. Like I've always been saying, what have I been saying about Wicked? It is Barbie light. Even amongst the critics groups, it's not winning as many awards as Barbie did. Like, for example, Barbie was, like, cleaning up screenplay categories. Or at the very least, it was winning a lot of screenplay categories. Wicked isn't really doing that well. I mean, granted, it's a stage show, not not really like a conceptually written screenplay. So it's like, but or the very, you know what I mean? It's like still, there's that, and also John M. Chu's not getting nominated for director anywhere except Critics' Choice, and that's only because they had 8 nominees. If they had only like 5 or 6 nominees, he would not have been nominated. He would not. So there's that. And again, we just kind of see this. Like, we always see, like, to some extent, the the big American blockbusters that are contending for the Oscars, whether it's Barbie, Top Gun, Avatar: The Way of Water, they don't do as well at the BAFTAs as they do other places. So I'm just not expecting Cynthia Erivo to get nominated. Now, even if Cynthia Erivo got nominated here, again, I just still don't think she gets the Oscar nomination. I just don't think at the end of the day, Wicked's going to be that strong. And Carlos Xavier, I guess, going for Emilia Perez. Again, I'm still thinking this is where, like, we're gonna see some not so great things. Now, granted, like, I was thinking Emilia Perez was going to underperform at the SAG as a whole because, you know, it's an international film. International films and performances don't really do that well at the SAG Awards. I was wrong about that. This is going to be the real test. Because if Carlos Sofia Gascon gets nominated here, then I think she gets nominated for the Oscar. But I don't know. With the sentiment towards towards trans people over there, it's not looking great. Especially how closely tied pop culture or big entertainment businesses are to like people like J.K. Rowling. Again, I don't like thinking of a group of people like the BAFTAs to be like as like cruel, but man, oh man, like I'm scared. I'm scared this is where she might drop off. If she actually does get nominated here, that's great. We'll see how it goes. Amy Adams for Night Bitch and Marissa Abella for Back to Black. No. If Amy Adams couldn't even get in at SAG, like she's done. She's finished. Lead actor. I think we're good. Like, this is where we get our top 4. All right, our top 4: Timothée Chalamet, Adrian Brody, Ralph Fiennes, Daniel Craig. I think Timothée Chalamet might actually win this because, again, A Complete Unknown has finally started catching up with the guilds, and especially with SAG. Like, SAG is going to go with Timothée Chalamet, so I feel like he might take that, you know. And here, and also, like, A Complete Unknown still did pretty well at the BAFTAs as well. Like, it got shortlisted for, like, costume design and editing over The Brutalist. So it seems like they really like A Complete Unknown. So I'm kind of going with that. Adrian Brody, again, yeah. Then we get to what I'm really starting to fear. Ever since SAG completely just shit on Sing Sing, only giving it a measly lead actor nomination, I'm scared now. I am scared. Because now I think, if that's how badly, you know, Sing Sing performed at SAG, what does that say about its chances at BAFTA? Because clearly the BAFTAs loved The Apprentice. They shortlisted it for Best Film. So clearly Sebastian Stan's going to get in. And meanwhile, you have... So I'm kind of going with that last slot with Kingsley Ben-Adir because, well, for one, Barb Marley One Love did make a lot of money. It made a lot of money, so people did see it. And not only that, the studio has been campaigning Kingsley Ben-Adir and Lashana Lynch for this film. Like, these two have been campaigning, and I feel like it might culminate over here because, you know, Kingsley Ben-Adir, he's a beloved actor over in the UK, and he's playing a biopic character, which, granted, Colman Domingo's playing a biopic character too, but I feel like Kingsley Ben-Adir might appeal more to the BAFTAs, especially considering how much the BAFTAs hated Sing Sing. If the jury was here, maybe Colman Domingo could be saved, but I'm not expecting that. So I am going with Kingsley Ben-Adir. And I'm not going with Hugh Grant for Heretic because, like, if Hugh Grant didn't even get in at SAG, it's like, all right, yeah, no, I think this was like a thing the critics were trying to make happen, sort of like, what's an example? Like, it's not like a one-to-one comparison, but it'd be sort of like Toni Collette in Hereditary, where it's like, okay, you're trying to make this horror performance thing happen at the Oscars, but it's clearly not catching on with the industry. I don't think that's gonna I don't think Hugh Grant's happening. And then you have Jude Law for Firebrand and Dev Patel for Monkey Man. Those two are at the very bottom. I would be shocked if either of these two actually got nominated for the BAFTA. Very shocked. Supporting actress, all right? I have Zoe Saldana winning for Emilia Perez, all right? Because obviously Emilia Perez is going to show up pretty well over at BAFTA. But at the same time, I'm not exactly sure what might happen. Because, like, you also have Selena Gomez and Adriana Paz longlisted at BAFTA. But again, it's also like, you know, you look at Barbie, it's like, well, that got, like, some of the most longlisted mentions out of any film that year. And yet it kind of underperformed with nominations at BAFTA. So I'm kind of expecting Selena Gomez to maybe just miss, because we also have Isabella Rossellini, which I'm kind of shocked she didn't get in at SAG, considering she got in at the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, like two pretty different voting bodies, but she would absolutely get in here. I would be absolutely shocked if she didn't. Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. Okay, no Critics' Choice, no SAG. There's no way the BAFTAs pass up on Felicity Jones. Like, that would be insane if they did. Considering, again, home turf advantage for Felicity Jones right here, but also The Brutalist is just, I feel like it's just going to do better at the BAFTAs than Critics' Choice or maybe not more than Critics' Choice, because the Critics' Choice actually did nominate it for editing, so, but it's definitely doing better here than at SAG. Ariana Grande for Wicked. I think she will still get in, but I don't think she would have a chance at winning over here, because it's like, again, big American blockbusters at BAFTA don't tend to do so well. Michelle Austin Guard for Hard Truths. I'm expecting Hard Truths to do pretty well over here, even though it's weird that, like, the film did not get longlisted for original screenplay. What? Still, I'm expecting her to show up. Emily Watson, I should say. Emily Watson. This seems to be doing some, there's some rumblings of this film. And again, you look at some of these other contenders, it's like, I don't really, maybe Selena Gomez gets in. Although if Selena Gomez actually got in at BAFTA, I'd be like, okay. Margaret Qualley for The Substance. Again, she didn't even get in at SAG, which is kind of strange. So there's that. Jamie Lee Curtis for The Last Showgirl. That is a SAG thing. That would be, maybe not no way, because they literally shortlisted Jamie Lee Curtis. But it's like, that would be very, like, if Jamie Lee Curtis got in at BAFTA without a jury, then I would have to assume that maybe Pamela Anderson might get the Oscar nomination. And at that point, I'd have to say that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to get nominated as well. Crazy. And then Adriana Paz for Emilia Perez. I don't think she's happening. I mean, especially since, you know, you had Killers of the Flower Moon last year, and there was this one actress in the long list for supporting actress, but didn't end up getting nominated. It's like, I think it's just clear they really, really love Emilia Perez. Supporting actor, all right. Admittedly, I don't know what I'm kind of doing right now, because right now, I'm going with I'm kind of predicting Nora to win Best Picture, but you're probably going to ask, well, how are you doing that without Mikey Madison winning Lead Actress? Well, I'm taking a swing and saying that Yura Borisov is going to win Supporting Actor. People call him the standout of the film, and it's like, I don't think Kieran Culkin would win Supporting Actor if A Real Pain is not in Best Picture. And even at the Critics' Choice Awards, it wasn't shortlisted. No, not shortlisted. At the Critics' Choice Awards, it did not get nominated for Best Picture. A Real Pain did not get nominated. And even here at the BAFTAs, they did not longlist it for Best Film. So it kind of makes me think, okay, maybe people just don't love A Real Pain that much, I guess. But it's weird. It's like, I just don't think Kieran Culkin can win this award. I don't think he can win the Oscar without the film being in Best Picture. So I'm kind of going with the assumption that if Nora wants to have an acting prize behind it, maybe they'll go with Yura Borisov. And yeah, he is a newcomer, but newcomers can win supporting Oscars, so that's fine. Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. You know, no SAG nomination. That was detrimental. But I have to assume he's good here. Edward Norton, sure, yeah. With how strong The Apprentice did on the long list, I have to assume Jeremy Strong is going to get nominated here. And then you also have Mark Edelstein for Anora. I'm actually going to go with him, even though not one critics group has nominated him. But that is because, I think I'm going to go with him here because the BAFTAs will nominate younger performers. Even before there was a jury, they will nominate younger performers. And if they really want to say, like, oh man, we love Anora, then like Mark Edelstein, I think, would get nominated here. Stanley Tucci for Conclave. If Conclave wants to be really strong, maybe they'll nominate him. But then some of the others, like Harris Dickinson for Baby Girl, no. Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, absolutely no. They hate this movie, so they're not going to do it. And then Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. He's absolutely not getting that. I still think he gets the Oscar nomination. Even without the SAG nomination, I still think he gets the Oscar nomination. But the BAFTAs absolutely hate Denzel Washington. So they're not going to nominate him at all. No. Then we get to original screenplay. And admittedly, this is my Oscar 5. This is the Oscar 5 that I have. Anora. If The Substance gets nominated for Best Film, I really wonder if The Substance could somehow beat Anora for Best Original Screenplay. But then again, that would really disrupt what's going on over at the Oscars, because then I would have absolutely no idea what's going on at the Oscars. But still, I still do feel like if there is a number 2 for Original Screenplay, it is going to be The Substance. The Brutalist, I think, is a good, safe contender. And then you have the last 2 slots. I'm going with A Real Pain in All We Imagine Is Light. I do think The Apprentice will get nominated at the Writers Guild Awards, which, granted, that also means that it could get in here. So, admittedly, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But I do want to get... God, it's really tough. I'm going to go with this 5 for now, but again, I have All We Imagine Is Light nominated, which, again, if it's nominated here, then, and also director, then I would almost be very tempted to put this into Best Picture at the Oscars. But then again, I don't know. Like, it is very strange. Maybe The Apprentice does get in over All We Imagine Is Light, so that last slot I'm a little bit iffy over, but I want to go with All I Imagine Is Light right now. I want to go with that. Kneecap. I feel like there's just too many... Kneecap could get in, but also there's just too many contenders right now. So I'd probably say no. And then you have the ones at the bottom, like Civil War. I think that might get Writers Guild. But then you also have Heretic and Challengers. I don't think Challengers is good. I mean, the fact that they didn't even shortlist Challengers for score at the BAFTAs. Like, my God, they did not like this movie at all. I still think Challengers is going to get nominated for the Oscar for score, but if they couldn't even shortlist it for score at the BAFTAs, what chance does it have at the for original screenplay? Adapted screenplay, again, scary because this is also my Oscar 5. I don't like doing this. Why am I doing this? But you have Conclave, Emilia Perez, Dune Part 2, A Complete Unknown, Nickel Boys. All right. Conclave, I think, is winning. If you're especially with Sing Sing performing as horribly as it has been this season, Conclave is the adapted screenplay winner. So there we go. Emilia Perez. All right, I'm kind of putting it at number 2 right now because if this movie really wants to threaten for Best Picture, if it wins here, oh my God. Then you have Dune Part 2, alright, solidly in. Complete Unknown, I think this, with Sing Sing out, I think I might actually put A Complete Unknown in for screenplay at the Oscars. An adapted screenplay, at least. Because, I don't know, again, this movie's starting to be very, very strong. It's very, very strong. And then, there's that 5th slot. And I was going back and forth between Nickel Boys, or Sing Sing, or Wicked. Because there are things going against all these movies. One, adapted screenplay is literally the only thing Nickel Boys is nominated for here. That's the only thing it was longlisted for, I should say. Sing Sing did a little bit better than Nickel Boys. It got here for adapted screenplay, and longlisted Clarence Macklin for supporting actor and Coleman Domingo for lead actor. But it's tough. And then you have Wicked, which is longlisted for best film. But with Wicked, again, I'm not expecting them to bite. This is still a stage musical adaptation, and those don't do well in the screenplay categories. So I'm not betting on that right now. I don't want to bet on that. I'm going to go with the Nickel Boys because, yeah, okay, because at least at the Golden Globes, they did nominate it for Best Picture Drama over Sing Sing. So there must be at least a little bit of love for this movie, at least somewhat. And granted, it's not as big of a cast as something like Sing Sing, so that's probably why Sing Sing was able to get a couple of shortlist mentions in the acting categories here. So I'm going to say that. And plus, I do expect Nickel Boys to win the Writers Guild Award, because I do have it just barely in Best Picture right now. But this could just very well end up being a film that gets, like, Best Picture and Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars. So I'm kind of going with that over Sing Sing. The Outrun, Lee, Night Bitch, I don't think those are I don't think those are very serious contenders at all. So, no. Casting. I've seen a lot of people putting in Honora and Emilia Perez and Wicked and Conclave, and what have we learned? What have we learned ever since they started this category? Only predict one film from the SAG-5 from an ensemble. Only predict one of them, because they don't really. This is not the same thing as the SAG Ensemble Award. Like, they don't view it that way. And so you really have to think of this in a box. All right, you have to think of this really in a box. And so I can't predict more than one SAG nominee here, at least for, a SAG Ensemble. So I'm going with The Complete Unknown, because one thing that the BAFTA casting category likes is that they like it when you cast like a central figure. Like my God, like this movie hinges on this performance, which I think is between A Complete Unknown or The Apprentice, because the first time they introduced this category, Joker won, and it's like, all right, yeah, you cast the Joker. And it's like, that's kind of what makes or breaks the film. Then, you had Rocks, which was about, casting a bunch of kids. So, that makes sense, because casting kids is, like, a very important thing. You gotta make sure those kids are casted well, if that makes sense. Then the next year, I believe it was West Side Story that won. And West Side Story, that was a film where, you're reimagining West Side Story. You have to, how do you top the original cast? Well, this cast is very diverse, very, very good. Like, all these actors are so good, and they're, like, singing very well, and they're very physically active in the film. And it's like, yeah, basically it's like, how do you fill the shoes of the original cast? Cool. And then the next year, Elvis won the category. And it's like, well, you gotta cast Elvis. Like, how do you cast Elvis? Again, that's the thing that makes or breaks the film, is who is playing Elvis. Even people who did not like Elvis said that Austin Butler was the best part of the film. So his casting was critical. And then you have The Holdovers, which was last year's winner, and that won because it didn't have a big cast. For the most part, it was Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and what's his name? Dominic Sessa. Yeah, though it's just those three throughout the entire film, yet they are perfect against one another. They perfectly bounce off of one another in such an incredible way. So you have to really think about that. What is the casting accomplishment of the year? Well, again, I think it's between A Complete Unknown and The Apprentice. Like, with The Complete Unknown, people are saying, man, Timothée Chalamet really makes this movie work. He's like spot on as Bob Dylan. But then again, at the same time, not one... Yeah, I just realized, not one of the SAG nominees for ensemble won Best Casting at the BAFTAs. Hold on a second. All right, Yep, there we go. I'm predicting The Apprentice to win. Oh my god, yeah. Because this is also a very pivotal casting choice, because you gotta cast Donald Trump and make it in a way where it's like people aren't gonna laugh at the movie. You actually have to view him as like this like threatening dude, which he is. But like, this I feel like might actually work out. Yeah, because, yeah, like the whole movie, like, it kind of rests on Sebastian Stan's shoulders, because he has to play Donald Trump in a way that's convincing, yet not laughable. Even though there are a couple of scenes where you're supposed to laugh at him, but it's like, for the most part, you're supposed to see a man turning into a monster, and the casting really does work in that regard. But you also have Kneecap. But then again, you're also kind of just casting the guys who are a part of Kneecap in this film. So it's like, is it I don't know exactly how this whole thing works. But, however, I'm going with The Apprentice. Then you also have The Brutalist. Again, it's the fact that it's not nominated for SAG Ensemble, I feel like helps. That does help it here. And then you have Blitz, because, you know, for the most part, the kid in the movie is like the lead, and so you have to kind of make sure he's a good lead. And plus, there's also other kids he has to bounce off of in terms of acting. So I think actually Blitz does get nominated here, because the casting category here does like child actors. Yeah. And then, again, you have Honora, Emilia Perez, Wicked, Conclave, but those are other SAG-nominated films, so I'm not predicting those. And then you have Back to Black. I feel like the film is just way too hated for something like this, so no. Then we get to cinematography, alright? The Brutalist, I think, is going to win here. But again, cinematography is kind of crazy right now, because, you know, they don't have a complete... Oh, wait. They do have a complete unknown here. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, so it was the British Society of Cinematographers nominations that came out yesterday, and they nominated all of these except for a complete unknown. Instead of a complete unknown, they had Emilia Perez. I'm not expecting Emilia Perez to show up here, although if it does, oh my god, because, like, oh, god. I also want to try to go at least, like, 3 or 4 out of 5 with BAFTA. Because I really want to go 4 out of 5, at minimum 4 out of 5 with the American Society of Cinematographers, and 3 or 4 out of 5 with the BAFTAs and the British Society of Cinematographers. So, what do I do here? Well, I'm going to go 4 out of 5 with BSC here, with a complete unknown instead of Emilia Perez. The fact that Nosferatu actually did get in at BSC, and, you know, Top Gun Maverick didn't, I think that's a good sign for it. Even though I think the Batman got nominated there as well, so I don't know. But right now, I'll finally bite and say Nosferatu. So I think it'll get in here. Dune Part 2, I'm not expecting that to get the Oscar nomination. I'm really not. But, however, it might still show up here. But then again, if Emilia Perez showed up here, oh my god. Ugh. And then Conclave, I think that I will cave in and say that's probably getting the Oscar nomination for cinematography. But, and especially since it's a British film, especially it's going to show up here, I feel. And then you have some other contenders like The Substance, Gladiator 2, Honora, Civil War. I'm not really as concerned with those films, really. Because if The Girl with the Needle was here, I'd be taking that a lot more seriously. And what else? What else am I actually kind of looking out for at the Oscars? Let me see. And... Oh, yeah, and Maria. Maria's not here. I need to see what the ASC does. If ASC nominates Maria, I have to put it in, I have to keep it in my cinematography lineup. But that's another thing, like, we don't have The Girl with the Needle here. We don't have Maria. So it is very strange. So it's really between this top 6. I just gotta figure out, like, what's going on here. So I'm going with this 5, or I'm going with this 5. Editing, let's go. All right. I feel like this is where The Substance will finally show some strength. If I want to predict it to win the Oscar, I gotta have it winning here. It could also... sometimes movies can win the Oscar off of Eddie alone, like Bohemian Rhapsody, but that's not really common at all. But still, and there's no racing films, like there's no cars and racing films. Like, alright, sure, Civil War has some cars, but it's not really a racing movie. It's not even like it's not even like No Time to Die. So it's like there's no really big like not really any like big car chases or really. So I'm just gonna say no to that. Emilia Perez. Oh my God! If it wins here, it's gonna take the Oscar. Jesus Christ. Conclave again, very sharp editing. I think it's good here. Dune Part 2, perhaps. And I'm gonna put in Anora here. Which, granted, I just realized this is also my Oscar 5. I'm scared about this because they usually don't do that. But I'm not really being given a lot of, like, strong options. Like, The Brutalist is not even here. And Challengers... Oh, wait, no, Challengers actually is in the short list. Never mind. But there's no September 5. Like, so it's like... Wait, A Complete Unknown. That might also happen, but also, like... All these have the Eddie nomination, and sometimes there's films that aren't in the Eddie, so, God, I have no clue. I really have no clue. If A Complete Unknown gets into editing here, again, Jesus Christ, that's pretty strong. So, yeah. Production design. Alright. This is fascinating. The fact that Wicked is not even sweeping the critics groups for production design. Like, right now, I think... Nosferatu is in the lead, but like even before it was also like The Brutalist was in the lead a little bit, so it's like, whereas last year Barbie was cleaning up this category with the critics, so it's absolutely not winning production design here, and probably not even at the Oscars. So I'm gonna go with The Brutalist right here. I'm gonna go with The Brutalist, but what I've always said, watch out for Beetlejuice. But then again, I'm not predicting Beetlejuice to get nominated here, although I am predicting it to get nominated at the Oscars. Because I'm predicting 3 nominations for BAFTA, which I'm also predicting 3 nominations over the Oscars. But I don't want to put it in the exact same categories, which is, I know it's strange, but let's just see. Dune, Gladiator, Conclave. I don't think Conclave is getting the Oscar nomination. I feel like... which, granted, if I do this, that means it's going to get nominated for, like, every precursor, Critics' Choice, the Art Directors Guild for contemporary film, and the BAFTAs. But let's just face it, with the Critics' Choice Awards, they were going to nominate this movie because it's, like, in Best Picture, and they love it. The contemporary category at the Art Directors Guild, that's, like, the least competitive category, so of course. And then you'll also have the BAFTAs, but Conclave has a home turf advantage over here, so it would also make sense why it wins here. So I am going off of the assumption that at the Oscars, they will replace Conclave with Beetlejuice, and that's a risky move, but I'm willing to go there. Plus, I don't want to get too many, like, 5 out of 5s matching with the Oscars. I just can't do that, alright? Although I am wondering if at the Oscars, if it's not Conclave that misses, if, like, Dune or Gladiator could miss. Ooh. Because, again, Dune's showing to be weaker than the first film. Blitz might make sense here. Because, again, they do seem to like it a lot better here. Complete Unknown and Substance, I don't think they're going to get nominated, like, no. Costume design. This is where I feel like we're going to start seeing the strength of Beetlejuice at the BAFTAs. Wicked might win here, although, oh boy, if they want to give not Catherine O'Hara, if they want to give Colleen Atwood an award and, like, sort of lay up her run over at the Oscars, they could do that. They could absolutely do that. Gladiator, I think that's going to be good here. Dune Part 2, and Conclave, because, again, British. When you're a big Best Picture contender that's also British at the BAFTAs, like, you tend to do very, very well over here. You tend to do better than you do at the Oscars. Like, look at the Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest at the BAFTAs got nominated for, like, cinematography, film editing, production design, supporting actress, and it didn't get those nominations at the Oscars. So, like, I feel like Conclave will have the home turf advantage here, which, again, that would also mean it has technically swept all the categories in terms of nominations, or, like, the precursors, because it has Critics' Choice, the Costume Designers Guild Award nominations for contemporary film, and the BAFTA. But, again, because it's contemporary, and we know the Oscars don't really do a lot of contemporary stuff, I don't think it's going to get nominated here. And sure, La La Land did that, but also La La Land was at least seeming to win Best Picture. And then you also had Parasite, which got nominated for production design at the Oscars, and that was contemporary. But again, that was, at the end of the day, winning Best Picture. I don't think Conclave is winning Best Picture. If it shows that it could, then oh my god, maybe we should take that seriously, but we'll have to see. And that doesn't mean I'm leaving out Nosferatu. But again, I just don't think the Oscars or the BAFTAs are going to love Nosferatu as much as the critics are. So, yeah. Blitz, I think, like, you could make an argument for that, but probably not. Furiosa, I would love it if Furiosa happened, but Furiosa, it did better in the long lists here than the short lists at the Oscars, but I'm not expecting that to happen here. A Complete Unknown, Emilia Perez, I don't think they're as showy as some of the other contenders, especially considering how neck deep in competition we are. Like, my god. Makeup and hairstyling. All right. So we got, I think The Substance is winning. Watch out for Emilia Perez if it wants to make a surprise win. Like, my god. Beetlejuice, very safe nomination. I don't think Wicked's getting nominated for the Oscar, but I do think it'll probably get nominated here. I think it will probably get nominated here. Like, the BAFTAs will do more, like, hairstyling stuff than the Oscars, which the Oscars prefer more prosthetic makeup. You know, like, the BAFTAs will nominate movies like, what was it? They'll nominate movies like Killers of the Flower Moon or The Favorite, and the Oscars won't. So, oh, and also, I think another one was like Alice in Wonderland. Even though Alice in Wonderland did have some prosthetics, but they're like very, very goofy. But we'll have to see. And I might go The Apprentice here. I mean, the fact that they love The Apprentice as much as they did, and so much so where they long listed it for Best Film. And so, like, I think The Apprentice might actually show up here in makeup, because you are also trying to, you know, transform Sebastian Stan into Donald Trump. There's some prosthetic work going on there. So maybe that happens. Maybe this does get the Oscar nomination as well. Maybe. We'll have to see. Nosferatu. I am very much looking up for that. Because if they wanted to swap out Wicked and put in Nosferatu, they could. I've still not seen Nosferatu, so I don't know exactly what he looks like, even though I've gotten like a cartoon version of him kind of spoiled to me, which sucks. I've just not been able to see Nosferatu. But still, I do feel like Nosferatu could very well show up here. If it shows up very well at the BAFTAs, then oh my god, it's happening at the Oscars. Like, it's going to get a few nominations over there. Still, we'll have to see. Dune Part 2, I'm not expecting that to happen. It blanked at the Makeup Guild, and it was an early release, so they really had no excuse. Whereas with the, you know, with something like Nosferatu was like releasing on Christmas Day, so it's like, you know, I can see why the Makeup Guild probably didn't get a chance to see it yet. Everyone's seen Dune at this point, and yet the actual Makeup Guild just didn't nominate it. They just didn't. So there's that. And then you have Joker Folie à Deux. There's a little bit more makeup going on than something like, you know, Complete Unknown or Blitz, which is really just more like the hair and little makeup touch-ups. Although, I guess, like, you know, what's his name? Edward Norton does look a little bit interesting, but I don't know. Then we get to visual effects. All right. Top 4, Dune. Yeah, Dune. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Gladiator 2, Alien Romulus. I really feel like Alien Romulus is coming for that Oscar nomination. But then, the BAFTAs don't always do some good stuff with visual effects. They also do a lot of bad stuff. Like, they'll nominate Black Panther for visual effects and give it the win. They'll give Poor Things the win for visual effects. I don't understand why. Like, yes, there were visual effects in Poor Things, but that wasn't but the visual effects in that movie were being used as an extension of its production design. That's the achievement. The achievement is the production design, and the visual effects were just an extension of that. Like, it's not like a visual effects achievement kind of film. Still, the previous year they did Everything Ever All at Once. They gave that a nomination for visual effects, which again, that's clearly a thing where it's like not like the visual effects and Everything Ever All at Once were used as an extension of its editing. That's not a visual effects achievement per se. It's just more so the editors are using or like the visual effects are being used in the editing, so to heighten the editing. Still, the BAFTAs don't feel like the BAFTAs kind of go with a little bit like what the Critics' Choice Awards do. So I am thinking of doing that. So what do? So I'm going to go with Beetlejuice because that for me, doesn't make sense to get a visual effects nomination because it's not really groundbreaking or really innovative. It's just kind of doing exactly what the first Beetlejuice did with visual effects. So I'm not really, I would not be enthusiastic if this happened. I wouldn't really like it. But the BAFTAs do kind of do this stuff. They always do stuff that doesn't really make sense in visual effects, but they just do it because they like the movie a lot. But then again, they could do Wicked, which I wouldn't nominate Wicked, but I wouldn't hate it if it got in. But I don't know. But granted, this could also be like one of the places where they just nominate Wicked. I'm just not expecting Wicked to show up in visual effects, though. I'm just not really expecting them to do that. What's the correlation? Because last year they did, like, The Creator, Guardians, Mission Impossible, and Poor Things. So they did go 4 out of... I don't know what to do. This is their chance to nominate something that's sort of in, like, Best Picture in visual effects. So they could do that, actually. You know what? Alright, I changed it. I'm pussing out. I'm going to put in Wicked. I'm going to put in Wicked instead of Beetlejuice. Because this would go 4 out of... even though, granted, I think the Critics' Choice Awards had 6 nominees, but still. 4 out of 5 with Critics' Choice. Like, 4... Or at least getting 4 nominees out of Critics' Choice here makes sense. Even though I feel like the Oscars... I feel like the Oscars would nominate... instead of Wicked, they'll probably nominate Deadpool and Wolverine. So I'm kind of going with that. I'll probably go with that. And you like having a blend of like what BAFTA does and what Critics' Choice does is a good thing to try to do. So yeah, but there's also Better Man. That's also like the Robbie Williams biopic where he's like a monkey. That might happen. That's not impossible. That could, again, we don't even know what the Visual Effects Society Awards are doing. Because, like, their nominations come out right before the BAFTAs. So, I don't know. Then we got Furiosa, which, it would be cool if they nominated it here, but they probably won't. Deadpool, Wolverine, Civil War. If Civil War showed up here, I'd have to seriously consider it for the Oscar nomination. I would have to seriously consider that as an actual possibility. So, yeah. Sound. We got Dune Part 2, A Complete Unknown, Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Substance. I do feel like Dune Part 2 is going to win. Maybe. But then again, Dune's not doing so hot right now, so like, it's going to win in visual effects no matter what. Sound is a little bit weird. It might or it might not. I feel like if The Substance is longlisted here, it will get nominated, but I don't think it's going to win because I feel like it'll just feel like this like unwinning battle. So I do think Dune will win here. I think Dune will probably win, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. Original score. Well, Challengers winning at the Globes didn't really clear up any water for us, so we have to just figure out what's happening here. Considering it's not even longlisted at BAFTA, you know? So we have a few contenders. We have Emilia Perez. Maybe that could win. Conclave, The Brutalist. Maybe The Brutalist could happen. I don't know. It's just tough. It's just really tough right now. If Conclave won score here, as well as adapted screenplay, that could maybe help with its Oscar package, because again, maybe it could win also editing, and who knows. But yeah, I'm going with Emilia Perez to win score here, because again, it's an original musical and Best Picture, so I feel like that's probably likely to win score, at least from my perspective, so yeah. And then I have The Wild Robot. I don't think it's getting the Oscar nomination, but I think it'll get nominated here. But the Oscars hate animated movies, so it's not going to get nominated. That last slot is very confusing for me. So I'm actually going to go with Blitz. And I'm going to also predict this for the Oscar nomination as well, because I was going to predict Sing Sing, but Sing Sing is dead. Like, no one likes Sing Sing. So yeah, I'm going to go with Blitz because it's Hans Zimmer. And they might just nominate it for shits and giggles. I don't know, really. Nothing else really makes sense, though. I don't think Nosferatu would get in for score. I don't think Gladiator would get in for score. The Substance wasn't longlisted. I don't think the Oscars would go for Beetlejuice. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on. But I'll go with Blitz for now. That's the safe pick for me. Animated feature. I was going to predict Flow to win, But then I was reminded that of how British Wallace and Gromit is. Which, Grant? Okay, let me explain. I did some research. Okay, you want to know how many BAFTAs Wallace and Gromit has lost? None. 0. It has not lost a single BAFTA. My God. Like, the BAFTAs absolutely love these two. They love Wallace and Gromit. Like, for them, they love Wallace and Gromit more than they do the royal family. Like, my God. I don't know why I didn't think this sooner, because it's like, of course Wallace and Gromit would win the BAFTA here. And if that happens, then we got a 3-horse race here, because Flo has the Golden Globe, Wild Robot's probably taking Critics' Choice and Annie, and Wallace and Gromit is most likely taking the BAFTA. And the thing is, it's not even like Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget, because like, yeah, people liked Chicken Run, but they didn't love it. No, people love Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul. They love it. They think it's a return to form for Aardman. So it's like, and if it wins here, then I don't know what's winning the Oscar. Because it's like, what do I do? Do I go with Flo? Do I go with Wallace and Gromit? Do I go with Wild Robot? I guess maybe I could go with Wild Robot. Maybe? No, not Wild Robot. No. If it won here, I'd maybe have to assume that maybe Wallace and Gromit's taking the Oscar. Because my God, like, it is insane. And the funny thing is, Inside Out 2 is literally it's not even number 3 to win. It's like number 4. My God, it is dead to win anything. Although, it will be even funnier if Memoir of a Snail got into Best Animated Feature over Inside Out 2. That would be really funny. I'm not expecting that to happen, but yeah. Moana 2, That Christmas, Despicable Me 4, okay, whatever. None of those are happening at all, so that's kind of whatever for me. Film not in the English language. Well, I was wrong about Kneecap because I thought the BAFTAs would hate Kneecap. Because, like, it always kind of, like, the sentiment of the film is kind of like, fuck the British for introducing English into our language. But no, the BAFTAs, like, literally shortlisted it for Best Film. They love this movie. And I'm wondering if it actually pose a challenge to Emilia Perez. Like, with the Zone of Interest, but I don't know. The Zone of Interest was a completely different beast, so I'm not going to expect that. But Kneecap, I think it's easily getting nominated. The fact that it made the shortlist at BAFTA is, like, it's number 2. Only Imagine, obviously, Emilia Perez is winning, so, yeah, there we go. Only Imagine is Light, I'm Still Here. That last slot is interesting, because you could go with The Girl with the Needle, See the Sacred Fig, or Flo. I'm going to go with The Girl with the Needle, because, like, weirdly enough, See the Sacred Fig doesn't really have any other nominations going for it other than film not in the English language. Because, like, Girl with the Needle, it could get cinematography. I mean, not here, obviously, but maybe at the Oscars, maybe. Flo, I mean, it's in competition to win Best Animated Feature, so maybe it gets nominated here. So I'm actually wondering if Seed of the Sacred Fig could get snubbed out of the Oscars. But yeah. Documentary feature is really, really complicated. I don't know what's going on. I do not think Will and Harper's going to get nominated. They, like, I don't know. I don't think they're going to do it. I realize I have both No Other Land and the BB Files, and both those involve the war between Israel and Palestine. Are they going to nominate 2 movies? But then again, the British are a lot more critical of Israel than the United States. Like everywhere else, like Netanyahu is like, oh well, if Netanyahu comes to our country, he's going to be arrested. But that's pretty much like almost everywhere except the United States. Like the U.S. is like the one place where like he's safe. So it's like, what? So maybe the UK is willing to criticize Netanyahu with these 2 movies more than the United States would. The Remarkable Life of Evelyn, maybe it is World of Warcraft, but it's also a very touching story. Made in England, the films of Powell and Pressburger. Am I doing this because it's English? Maybe. But it's also like, and then I have Superman. Maybe they do it like, how they nominated still a Michael J. Fox movie. Because the problem is, I don't think Daughters would appeal to the British at all. Like, or at least not the BAFTAs. Like, Black Box Stories, probably not. I mean, Elton John, Never Too Late. I mean, but isn't that like a concert movie? So I'd probably say no. So I'm just kind of like, I I'm just kind of going with these, I guess. I don't know what's happening, though. It is very strange. Children's and family film. This is a new category for the BAFTAs. So we have to figure this out. Apparently, it looks like we might have 4 nominees. It doesn't officially say. So, Wallace and Gromit's winning. Surprisingly, Paddington and Peru's not nominated, or like not shortlisted, which is strange. But I also have Flo, the Wild Robot, Young Woman in the Sea. Nothing else really makes sense to me, though. That Christmas doesn't really make sense. Kensuke's Kingdom, Piece by Piece, Spellbound. I don't really think so. I don't know. Maybe, I think that it might just be this 4, honestly. So we'll have to see about that. British film. And this might be the last category we talk about. Because I don't know enough about British debut and all that stuff, so yeah. But you can follow my predictions on Award Expert if you want to know any of my predictions there, but it's not really well informed. Alright. Conclave's winning. It's in Best Film. There we go. Kneecap. I think that's solidly in, since it was longlisted in Best Film. Fun fact about Wallace and Gromit. Curse of the Were-Rabbit actually did win this category over Best Film nominated The Constant Gardener. So it's like, hey, I don't know, but I still think Conclave would still win here. Hard Truth, I feel like it's going to be nominated. Blitz, that makes sense. It's in quite a few texts, as well as a few other shortlist mentions and whatnot. Then we have the Outrun, also did pretty well the shortlist as well. Lee, again, the fact that I'm thinking maybe Kate Winslet might get nominated for lead actress, and the fact that this is also longlisted for director and adapted screenplay, oh, that might happen. Paddington and Peru, it's not as well reviewed as some of the other Paddington movies, but it's still Paddington. They love Paddington. I just realized I didn't fix this. This should have been Bird and Gladiator 2. Damn it. Well, I guess it's too late to fix that, and good God, this has already gone on for so long, and I just had to stop this to do a live stream, so it's like, But yeah, Bird is at number 9, and Gladiator 2 is at number 10. I don't know, maybe Civil War could happen. We Live in Time, maybe, but then you also have some of the independent films like Wicked Little Letters, Love Lies Bleeding, Back to Black. I think Back to Black is probably too, not well received to get nominated. So yeah, guys, that will do it for my BAFTA predictions. My BAFTA nomination predictions, I should say. Again, I'm assuming it'll be fine to predict the BAFTAs, the BAFTA nominations, because they're not in the United States. They're not going to get, delayed, I'm assuming. But still, I want to pass the question off to you. What are your predictions for the BAFTA nominations? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, Wallace will think you're cheese.